right, so Kaylee and I sat down and watched one of the movies. I shouldn't say the first movie. One of the movies in this cryptid verse. It is a series of found footage films that all have minor connections to one another. So it's like a shared universe, MCU style found footage event. Which is cool. I think that's really ambitious, and it's comprised currently of The Flock, Mothman, which is the one we're talking about, the one we watched, and the Wendigo, which the Wendigo is coming out soon. And I think Tahoe Joe, I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I don't think it does, but I know that has some involvement with the creators. So anyways, the Mothman. Now, I am, and I've shown Kaylee this movie, but I am a massive fan of the Mothman Prophecies with Richard Gere and Laura Linney. I think that movie is atmospherically perfect. It's one of those films that is kind of like it's like a masterclass in atmosphere, right? It's PG-13, and there's not like a lot of like kills and gore or anything like that. It's just pure atmospheric dread. Yes. From moment one, the film just feels wrong. It feels like there's something evil about everything. Yeah. Literally from the moment the movie starts, there's a dread in the air. And it's incredible to me that people are able to achieve that. Yes. Anyway, moving on from that film. So anytime I hear about the Mothman, I'm always like, oh, because of that film. So I can credit that film for any interest I have in the Mothman. So when I saw that this was one of the films, I was like, oh, this is the first one I want to watch. Yeah. Because The Flock's another one, and I do want to check that one out. But the IMDb synopsis is Amanda and her boyfriend Tim set out to shed light on the case surrounding her missing brother. After finding his lost archive, she uncovers a truth that leads her down a path to the horror her brother unwillingly encountered. Mothman. So yeah, now a lot of this plays out kind of like the Blair Witch in the opening, right? I mean, it's a found footage film. This is kind of what you would expect, but she's going around and she's interviewing people in the town or people that are closely connected to her missing brother, and she's trying to cobble together some kind of semblance of understanding of what happened to her missing brother. It's a pretty standard setup for a found footage film. I'd probably say at least 30 to 40% of found footage films are these very things. Somebody goes missing, and we're either seeing their footage or we're seeing somebody who's looking for them. That might be 50, 60%. Yes. That's maybe even higher. Yeah. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure this might be 75%. I'm probably going too low on this. So, once again, I think when it comes to found footage, the thing we always got to talk about first and foremost is the believability of the acting, right? The acting needs to feel like not acting. Yes. Right? Yeah. In any other kind of movie, when you're watching like the MCU, since we brought it up, and you're watching Tony Stark, for instance, Robert Downey Jr. doing Tony Stark. Tony Stark's supposed to feel larger than life, right? Mm-hmm. So you are acting up a bit. You are acting bigger than life. You're acting more than a man. You're acting more than reality. Mm-hmm. And so in that, there's more acting that needs to be done, and you need to feel like you're watching some character. But within found footage films, you've got to nail this like kind of relaxed, person that just exists in any world that you're in, right? Like they're part of the world that you exist in. Yeah. Because all found footage is supposed to take place on Earth, here, the one that you live in. Right. Right. The MCU takes place in the MCU's universe. That's a totally different universe than the one we exist in. Right. And within found footage, you always got to make it feel like this happened here. Like this isn't a movie. This happened. And even though we know the audience knows that that's not really what's happening, although some people still
sure
seem to think these movies are real, which is beyond my comprehension. Yeah. So, first and foremost, does the acting in this movie work to sell this film? For me, no. And that's the biggest issue, right? Is like, if I'm checked out on that, then instantly it's hard to win me. And there's a lot of found footage enthusiasts who don't give a shit about that. And they're like, I get it, I don't care. Or like, the acting's the acting, and I'm really just there for the story and all of that. So, to me, I want to say this because I think it's an important caveat to this, right? It's like, you need to know, you know, what is my taste, and my taste with found footage is you've got to sell me. And if you can't sell me on that, then you really have to make an amazingly scary, wild film. Yeah. If the acting is not working for me.
Yeah. Yeah. With this one, definitely the acting, I could not get behind. Yeah. So that definitely took me out of it. And then the other part for me is that I was really confused in the end. Yeah. And I don't know what that is. Sometimes when I get confused in movies, I always end up feeling stupid because I'm like, what was I missing or like not paying attention to? But I was genuinely like unsure of a good part of the ending of like what was happening and why it was happening, really. Yeah. So that sucks. I think that the atmosphere at the end was cool. Yeah. Like, I liked how that felt, but because I was confused and because of the acting, I was just kind of like, this doesn't feel real. And I'm with you. Like, the acting is pretty important for me as far as found footage goes. Like, if it doesn't feel like a real life person, then it does take it down a notch for me. And with these, you know, it's definitely amateur acting. So it sucks because I always hate like critiquing amateur actors because it's like, you know, they might just be starting out or they're working on it and practicing or whatever.
Or they're just friends of the filmmakers.
Or they're just friends of the filmmakers. And, you know, but I always feel bad because I'm like, like what if, you know, like I don't want to be mean, but I really didn't like performances in this film. Yeah. And that definitely is a big downside because I think that the writing was okay. Yep. Like when I was listening to the dialogue, I'm like, that sounds good. Like, I just don't like how it was delivered. Sure. And then, yeah, like I said, the atmosphere towards the end, like, that was cool. And I do feel like all of the places that they went, you know, felt like, obviously there were real places, and, like, that was all nice. My favorite part of the film is honestly the beginning, you know, which is with Amanda's parents. And I thought that their performance was the best performance in the film. So
the mom was really good.
I really liked that, and I was excited, you know, starting out with that, and then it just didn't live up to it, unfortunately. So I do think it's an ambitious film, and I'm interested in the like cryptid verse because I do really like cryptids a lot. I feel like
we'll check out the flock next for sure.
I feel like they're an underrated like horror subgenre because you know there is a crossover with people who, you know, are real believers of cryptids, you know, like all the actual like stories and myths and everything, and then obviously the film interpretations of them is really cool. And Mothman is, you know, definitely one of my favorite cryptids. I think he's cool looking. I like his design. Sure. So yeah, and
speaking of the lore of the Mothman and going back to the Mothman prophecies, there is an iconic character that is attached to the Mothman. Yes. And I like what they did with that other character. Yeah, I do here. Too. I was pretty surprised to the way they went with that, and was like, oh, cool. Different than the Gear movie. And I liked that. When it happened, I was like, oh, okay, we're going that way, and I liked that. So that was cool. And as you said, the script was fine for the most part, mostly in just like the dialogue. But I don't know if it was a directional choice or a script choice or whatnot. But I did find myself confused about certain things for sure. But maybe that was intentional. So as I said, maybe it's the director, maybe it's the writer together. I don't know. but it wasn't a good confusing. It wasn't
no.
like
Unfortunately,
that
it
was
wasn't.
ambiguous, and
It was like, wait a minute.
I want to cobble that together through the breadcrumbs that were left for me.
It was not that, sadly.
No. So, but overall, it was okay. I think it was a fine freshman effort. I don't even know if this was a freshman effort or not. I just said it was, and I could be wrong on that. Hold on. Joshua Bruckner, which I actually, when I saw Bruckner for a second, I thought this was... Oh, it's Brucker.
Brucker,
I think I just filled that in because of my love for The Ritual. No, this is his first film. So there you go.
Okay. Yeah.
And then his next movie is The Woodman, which looks like another found footage film. So there you go. But yeah, it's an okay attempt at first because you got a lot of actors in here playing a bunch of dual roles, so it's ambitious in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would just in the future or the next one or whatnot, I would audition, go down to local community colleges and whatnot, and post for auditions for actors, and I think what found footage people typically do, because they have a low budget and they don't want to spend any extra money because they don't have it and whatnot, and maybe they're not even that comfortable in their competency and whatnot yet, so they don't want to go to actors, so they'll go to buddies and friends, and it's your friends can't act unless they're actors, but they can't act, so you need to go and trust me, there's tons of people who are, look at friggin' Heather, Josh, and Mike from Blair Witch, these are just college kids that were ready, and they pretty much wrote the whole movie themselves, just gave them cameras and a direction, and they did that whole movie on their own.
Yeah,
because they're really good actors.
Yeah, they're incredible. It's really hard. We talk about it a lot. It's so hard to act natural and normal, and it's definitely not it's not easy, and it's not something that should be undervalued, of course. So
100%. If anybody sits back and is you're a trash actor, obviously you can't even act natural in a found footage movie. It's so complicated.
It's so hard. And that's the other thing too, is like with amateur actors with found footage, I'm but maybe there are okay actors in more traditional stuff, dramatic stuff, they might be fine. Maybe. And there were definitely moments where I was it's okay. That's okay. Yeah. So
it's a good point though.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they're really great thespian, freaking Shakespearean actors,
or just stage actors, or other I don't know, but
yeah, it is hard to act.
It's hard,
natural, and that is a totally different talent. And I've always been convinced that anyone who can act supernatural like this has a good chance of being a pretty solid actor. Otherwise,
yes, absolutely.
So
yeah.
Anyway, that's that. Mothman. We will cover the
flock.
The flock. I don't know when the flock will get to it, but it'll be pretty. It'll be pretty soon.
Yeah.
And we'll check out the other one if unless we outright hate the flock, then I'll be all right, I'm done with this scripted verse shit. But we'll see. So look forward to that, and that's that. All right, those were the 3 found footage films we watched this week.
Yeah.
Until next week.